But Tony Kroos is talking absolute nonsense. Nonsense. Now, look, I respect the man. He's one of the greatest midfielders of his generation. What he won, what he achieved makes him extra special. He's an extra special player. But as like many extra special players, when they become pundits, I almost feel like they're not connected to the real world. They might understand football. They may understand elements of the game that we can't comprehend. They may have anecdotal stories and experiences that we just cannot relate to. But Tony Kroos has said, if this video gets shut down because it turned out this was a fake quote, fair enough. But it looks like it's real. Tony Kroos said, Isak joining Liverpool for a lot of money, with a question mark. I trust our listeners, but I would tell you that more or less half have never heard of Isak. Judge for yourself seriously. We have seen this week. Alan Shearer and Gary Lineker create a false narrative, a lie, an absolute crock of shit that Alexander Isak has actually changed football. Let's take a little look actually at what they said, just to remind ourselves.
Alexander Isak, Wissa went to Newcastle, and Mark Gate's deal fell through at the final minute, who had absolutely done things completely properly, captained the side, played the night before, scored a brilliant goal, was quite emotional with his celebration. So are we saying now that this is the way that players will continue to act in the future?
I think because of what's happened with Isak and what's happened with Wissa, then you will see more of that. I mean, I don't like it. No, I don't think any fan likes it. And I can't say that because of the Isak situation. I also have to mention the Wissa situation and him going to Newcastle. I don't like what the players have done when they refuse to play for their clubs and having a contract behind them whilst being paid by the football clubs. No, it's not a good look, and I don't like it. It's not a good look for football. But unfortunately, yes, you are.
As you saw, talking about how Isak has almost changed football this year, which again, I think was an exaggeration. He also plays in the Premier League, Alexander Isak. He plays in the Premier League. Now, the Premier League dominates the German league, the French league, the Spanish league, the Italian league. Even in 2022, 3.2 billion viewers worldwide. Our league, in terms of eyes on it, crushes every other top league in Europe. It doesn't matter that you prefer watching the football in France. It doesn't matter that Flossie prefers watching the football in the La Liga. It doesn't matter that Jeremy prefers the competitiveness of the Portuguese league. All of that is irrelevant to the point I'm making. It's irrelevant. It's not even part of the debate. I'm not getting into it. The amount of eyes on the Premier League compared to the others. To say that half of the viewers listening to Tony Kroos speak have no idea who Alexander Isak is, it's crazy. It's crazy. Now, maybe he didn't say it. Maybe it's a fake quote. Maybe it is a fake quote. But it's all a bit strange, don't you think? It's all a little weird, don't you think? It's all a little bit much, don't you think? I don't want to defend Isak. I don't want to defend him. He's a Liverpool player. But when I hear this kind of crap, I have to say something. I've got so much respect for Tony Kroos. I want to tell you a little fact here as well about Tony Kroos. I'll read this to you. On February 2020, Isak scored 2 goals and got an assist in the Copa del Rey quarterfinal against Real Madrid and knocked Real Madrid out at the Bernabeu, and Kroos was in the starting lineup. So he certainly remembers who he is. And this is the point, right? La Liga fans know who Alexander Isak is. They watched him do very well at Real Sociedad. They watched famous games like that where they embarrassed Real Madrid at their home ground. La Liga fans also watch the Premier League. We know this because more people in Spain watch the Premier League than watch La Liga. In fact, La Liga's viewing figures domestically have been over the course of the last decade have been declining, where their viewership of the Premier League has been increasing. It's such a weird thing to say. It's even Real Madrid. You tell me Real Madrid fans don't know who Alexander Isak is. We should probably sanction this and put the money into it. Let's go to the Santiago Bernabeu. I'd love to go. And let's stand outside. Let's ask 1,000 people who this man is and show them pictures of Isak. If less than 60% don't know who he is, sorry, if more than 60% don't know who, no, that's a lie. If 40% or less don't know who he is, I'll pay £1,000 to charity. If they do, send this to Tony Kroos. If they do, Tony Kroos, who is a lot richer than me, has to agree to do a live show on the Football Terrace. Let's clip it up. Let's do it, because I just think he's chatting. Now, I haven't seen the clip, so maybe it's taken out of context. Maybe the tone's different. Fair, granted. But what is it at the moment with attacking Alexander Isak? What is it? And don't just say it's because it's Liverpool. That's part of it. Like I saw Liverpool fans talking last night online. They were saying, I don't understand, because Wirtz didn't have a good game for Germany. In fact, Germany didn't have a good game. I think he gave the ball away that led to one of their goals being conceded. And I saw a lot of Liverpool supporters. They were like, I don't understand why our players are getting so much negative attention. There is a correlation. Okay, the reason you're getting so much attention this summer is, one, you're champions, so there's always a target on your back. Two, you've broken British transfer records, and you have three of the top 10 most expensive players in the history in the Premier League purchased in one summer. So the world and his dog, and I include myself in this, want to see you foul. We want to see you crumble. We want to see it not work because there is a level of banter that comes with that. Imagine dropping £450 million on new players. Imagine upgrading on most of the players exiting, probably barring Trent. But imagine upgrading on all the players and then you don't succeed with it. That's hilarious. It's why I never bemoaned Chelsea spending. Not in the moment they did it in the mid-noughties. And then the following 3 years after they went back-to-back, United did a three-peat. We eclipsed it. And we proved this point the other day, and people are not aware of this if they're of a certain age. Chelsea, in the first 3 years of Roman Abramovich, outspent what Man United, what Liverpool, and what Arsenal had spent collectively in the previous 10 years combined in the Premier League. And you're not talking about, United. Yes, United, all the big clubs spent big, but Chelsea came in and broke the mold, and I loved it. It was like, come on then, let's have it. Because it's what's the adage? The bigger they are, the harder they fall. And that's all Liverpool are going through right now, is you've become a bigger target because you're champions and you've spent money. So I get the Wirtz attacks and compilations and jokes that, the Timo Wirtz and the Kai Havertz and all these jokes. I get all of that. And fans are sort of meant to do that. But when it starts getting into the abusive elements of Alexander Isak, I say no. It's not fun anymore. When you hear Alan Shearer and Gary Lineker, ironically, Tony Kroos then saying half the audience don't even know who he is. Maybe the biggest and most listened to podcast in the world is that one of Gary Neville's. As if people don't know who Alexander Isak is. But with those guys on that podcast pretending as though he's changed football and going on strike is this newfound phenomenon that's going to kill the game and ruin football, I find the whole thing gross. I find the whole thing gross. Tony Gross. It's Tony Gross. It's Tony Gross is what it is. Because we all know where this is leading. We all know this is going to lead to dogs abuse. Not because he's at Liverpool. But people are going to have... what will happen is some people will just listen to that podcast and go, well, Gary Lineker and Shearer know what they're talking about. They're not going to go and do the research. They're not going to use the internet. They're not going to engage their brain. And I don't even feel sorry for those individuals. I feel sorry for the people that perpetuate this. For instance, last night, there was a Manchester City fan on the overlap. And I smile when I hear about these things. But I retweeted it because I wanted the clip to go out there. And he said that why he said that Guardiola has surpassed Sir Alex Ferguson as the greatest manager. Now, he's moving around a lot in his chair. He said he's nervous when saying it. But he said that Fergie broke the transfer record countless times. Pep only did it once. Well, it's a really interesting way of phrasing it. In the first 10 years of the Premier League, where Fergie's trophies that he won, in terms of he won as many Premier Leagues as Pep had in the same amount of time. If you're counting Pep winning 6 in 7, was it 6 in 7? Yeah, 6 in 7. If you're counting it from the first year he won the trophy, Fergie also did the same thing. But in that time, Man United were only the 10th highest spenders in the league. You see what I mean here? I don't mind the fans saying this. I think the overlap are a disgrace. What they should be doing when those things are said by fans is they have the means to do it. Have a little box that pops up on the screen that gives more context to what's being said. Now, breaking transfer records doesn't mean you're spending more than everybody else. It means that individual players you're buying broke a record. But imagine Man United winning 7 of the first 6 Premier League titles. Sorry, 6 of the first 7 Premier League titles, or somewhere in that region. And doing the first double-double when the treble wasn't even really a thing that was discussed too much. The treble was a little bit like this weird myth that Liverpool nearly did in the 80s. The double was really what was spoken about back then. Did the double-double, did 3-peats, did back-to-back title winnings, runs, but was only the 10th highest spender in the league at the time. But yet we still have this narrative that's pushed out that Fergie just spent his way to the top. I'm not saying he didn't spend, but it's a lie. And for me, I look at it and I just think this reminds me of what's going on now with Liverpool. And I just keep the same energy. There's all these lies being told about Alexander Isak. There's all these mistruths being spoken about when it comes to Alexander Isak. But they're going to end up, these lies will become the truth if they're just said over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. And I think it's imperative that football fans push back against his behavior. Because if we don't, that behavior will be inflicted one day on your legends, on your players, on your manager. So I often get called out. Why are you defending Liverpool? Why are you defending Arsenal? Because I can see the precedents that are going to be set that will one day also damage my football club. I can't. I think it's anti-football. I really, really do. Look, I want your views. I want your opinions on it in the comment section below, people. But the Alexander Isak agenda for me, it completely and utterly stinks.